Mine is a little interesting in the fact that it's kind of similar to what Michael presented about, except mine is from the perspective of the patients rather than the physicians. So, Paul, I hope this answers your question from yesterday. All right. Hello, my name is Malcolm Eads, and I'm here to talk about my findings on medical AI development and study in Middle Georgia, or MAIDS. It's a term that I created and I've coined, so I hope it catches on. This presentation is to fulfill the requirement for a Doctorate of Science in Information Technology at Middle Georgia State University. Historically a conservative area, rural Middle Georgia might sometimes fight modernity. In their paper, Donnie Lee and Song-No Yoon claimed that hospitals and clinics worldwide are adopting all sorts of new technologies in healthcare. Establishing the basis for precision medicine calls for more accessible healthcare data and fast development of analytical technology. However, we don't know if rural residents will react positively to MAI. Avoiding invasive tests on patients depends on developments in pathology and cancer diagnosis. A diagnosis and treatment plan should be based on the patient's needs, environment, and way of life, including pediatric and geriatric care. The study aims to investigate attitudes regarding MAI, particularly in rural Middle Georgia. Yet the three important factors make it essential to look at how these developments are seen in this particular setting. First, we don't know how rural communities like those in Middle Georgia will react to such technology. Advancements in specialized care are therefore crucial to raise accuracy and lower the chance of unnecessary medical treatments. Finally, efficient diagnosis and treatment plans have to consider the particular requirements, environments, and lifestyles of patients, like in rural locations where healthcare demands might vary greatly from metropolitan areas. The study thus aims to know how MAI is viewed, whether it can close the gap between innovation and particular healthcare issues experienced in rural areas. The study intends to highlight how to more include new healthcare technologies in areas that would be slower to embrace them by means of these issues. The central question driving this research is there an interaction effect between age and gender demographics on public perceptions of medical providers' use of AI to assist with treatments, diagnosis, and processing? So let's dive into the main findings from the literature review on MAI and its use in medicine. First, Jonathan Guo and Lee investigate how MAI is changing healthcare in rural parts of emerging countries like China. Through diagnostic tools and tiered systems, they underline the possibilities of AI to save costs, handle healthcare inequalities, and enhance access. Next, Donnie Lee and Song-No Yoon looked at how MAI affected medical professionals. Their results indicated that although AI helps administrative processes and lowers misdiagnoses, there are issues with privacy, trust, and adjusting to the learning curve. Third, David Sebastian and Anna Maria Peter emphasized AI's performance in cancer diagnosis, therefore demonstrating how machine and deep learning technologies increase accuracy and allow individualized treatment. Nicole Turner-Lee and David Singh and his team highlighted AI's use in particular patient populations, including pediatric and geriatric care, respectively. They showed how AI-enabled technologies such as personalized medicines, digital diagnostics, and remote monitoring may lower costs and enhance care in underprovided areas. Finally, some studies underline ethical issues and doubts about MAI, notably Anna Maria Milesevich and her team. They noted that some groups, including medical students, worry about how AI affects patient trust and human interactions, Georg Stark contended that education and openness will help instill confidence in MAI systems. Hope you like my transitions. Let's begin by discussing the methodology used for this study, starting with sampling and then moving on into data analysis. The study employed a voluntary convenience sample to gather diverse perspectives. The survey was an 18-question Likert scale survey that assessed participants' attitudes on a scale of 1 to 5, where in each question, 1 meant the participant was more reluctant and 5 meant the participant was more accepting of MAI. An average score was calculated and used as a variable called AI_attitude. Generations were used as a variable because it is a static age group representing participants that were born in a specific year range, highlighted by the graph. The survey responses underwent rigorous analysis using the SPSS statistical package. A key element of the study was conducting a univariate ANOVA to examine the interaction effects between age and gender on attitudes toward AI in medicine. Starting with 250 people, the survey examined 233 valid responses after excluding 17 for lacking or missing information. The reliability test revealed a strong Cronbach's alpha of 0.897 for the survey items, hence verifying consistency across the measurements. Furthermore, Levine's test of homogeneity of variances showed no evidence of unequal variances, hence validating the ANOVA findings. Finally, Tukey's post hoc test analysis verified no statistically significant variations across the generational groups. So now let's get into the weeds. Mean ratings on a 1 to 5 scale showed some trends in generational attitudes toward MAI. Gen Z was the most accepting, followed by millennials, then baby boomers, then Gen X, and finally the silent generation was the most reluctant. Examining gender revealed that men were generally more accepting on MAI than women, with a total mean attitude score of 2.74 among all participants, suggested some hesitancy toward MAI acceptance. The univariate ANOVA indicated on the graph shows a notable general model with 9 degrees of freedom and an error rate of 223. You can see on the graph with an alpha of 0.05, age, gender, nor the interaction between them were statistically significant. Beginning with demographics, younger generations, especially Gen Z and millennials, showed marginally greater acceptance of MAI. These findings were consistent with Muhammad Rahman and his team, who theorized that confidence in technology increased young groups' openness to AI innovations. Interestingly, although mean scores followed Rahman's analysis, statistical tests indicate that these disparities were statistically insignificant. In terms of gender, men likely scored higher, influenced by society and gender roles. This trend also follows Rahman's findings that males were more accepting of new technologies than women. But once again, the variation in attitudes in this research was not statistically significant. Carrie Funk and her team showed in a survey that just 38% of Americans thought AI could improve healthcare results. 60% said they were uneasy with MAI being used in diagnosis and treatment suggestions. This unease shows ongoing worries about accountability and doubt about MAI's dependability. Moreover, as Jessica Rohan and her team point out, many individuals choose the compassion and personal relationship they have with their real doctors above MAI systems. The absence of human connection is still a major issue, even if AI can help in medical decision-making. This preference emphasizes the importance of preserving human aspects in healthcare. Finally, Although the research indicates general conceptual acceptance of MAI and its possible benefits, significant obstacles still exist. To fully realize MAI's promise in healthcare, issues of trust, ethical use, responsibility, and less personal participation have to be addressed. Healthcare professionals may strike innovation with human touch that patients appreciate by encouraging openness, open communication, and education. One question that was repeated when I was asked or when I was soliciting responses is if medical AI makes an error on a prescription, for example, who is responsible? In malpractice, there has to be a human defendant. Obviously, MAI is not a human defendant. Next, participants show a clear desire to keep human engagement in healthcare. AI cannot duplicate the empathy of a physician, so there needs to be a balance between human interaction and AI. As we begin onboarding MAI, public education and communication are critical to soothe anxieties and how it's possible advantages by informing the public and encouraging honest discussions. MAI's efficient and fair integration into healthcare systems will be paved by building and supporting framework that gives education, accountability, and trust priority. These applications highlight the road to including AI is about people, trust, and building a system that benefits us all. Several important subjects stand out for investigation as we consider the future of research on MAI. First, cross-regional studies can offer insightful analysis by comparing and contrasting how demographics change in various regions. As MAI gets more common in healthcare, tracking attitudes changes over time will be exposed trends and initiative that increase acceptance. Third, and I cannot stress this enough, the need for targeted educational programs that can assess how well these initiatives address problems and change attitudes around MAI among various populations. More studies should also investigate demographics like race, ethnicity, education level, political affiliation, and income. At this time, I'd like to open the forum to any questions you might have.
Were you able to identify any hospitals or universities that are willing to start partnering with companies like Neuralink to start progressing in the integration of AI?
I haven't seen any that are using things like Neuralink, like implants or anything like that. But there are a few hospitals around in the New England area and in California that are using medical AI to help physicians make medical decisions. Yes, sir.
So in this, you're looking at the medical, but the aspects sometimes of mental health can come in, and then you have the issues of comorbidity dealing with mental health issues impacting health. Did anything come up on the mental health elements and the impact on an AI system?
No, my research was more on general medical decision making than specific things like mental health or anything like that. But that is an interesting point to take on. I think the only things that I really focused on were in pediatric, geriatric, and oncology. Yes.
Any benefits in terms of productivity between those using AI versus those who don't?
So yes. So medical AI does help these physicians when it comes to medical AI. It's really the patients that really need the education because I think it was said earlier that you know, people have these perceived ideas of what AI is, and, you know, if they are asked if they want to consent to medical AI being used in this decision-making, they're more reluctant towards it because you know, Hollywood movies tend to make people think like AI is a bad tool, or, you know, in the earlier stages of AI that we would see, like in, you know, before Copilot came out or GPT-1, it wasn't that smart, but, you know, we're improving over time. And as it continues to improve, we should see medical AI be more efficient in like paperwork or decision-making for these physicians. In fact, one thing that in one of my researches that I was reading about is that in breast cancer research, people, you know, the AI would scan the tissue and it would say, hey, doctor, I think I see some strange looking cells over here. Do you want to take a look at that? And it would be the physician that actually looks at that and confirms, yes, this is cancerous, or no, that's not cancerous. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
Great,
Cool.
thank you.